When the next and potentially last DLC shows up, I very much hope at least one of the animals in it will be a bird. But what type of birds does even feel realistic to expect at this point? Today I'll present you to some of the birds I think could still stand a chance of making it into Planet Zoo, some more exciting than others. After now 16 DLCs, there is something we can be quite sure about. Frontier likes to revisit the same categories again and again. Birds are no exception. Penguins and Ratites are already making up for more than half of the birds in the game, and this simply just means there's a good chance more will show up. If another Ratite shows up, it will be the rare. Likely the greater, but Darwin's might also stand a chance. When it comes to penguins, there are still a lot of species to come for. And while many people think 3 species are already more than enough, some still find some value in a roommate for the king penguin. And I think Frontier might agree. Rockhopper penguin seems the most likely to me since they do stand out the most, but something like the Gento penguin doesn't feel impossible either. And we continue with the easy birds. Though these are not as strongly represented in Planet Zoo, a second flamingo is a bit of a hot potato and something that splits up the community. No matter what, it would be a very simple inclusion for Frontier and therefore stands a chance. The most likely choice being the American flamingo. Its bright color will make it stand out from the greater flamingo, and it will finally add a bird to America, though it will for sure get the clone stamp by a lot of players. Cranes tend to be more popular, even though there is a lot of flamingo behavior in the one species we've seen so far. A second crane does feel like it is within the realm of possibilities. Most likely is the grey-crowned crane, since it just is a popular bird that also got a quite unique appearance. The Eurasia Animal Pack finally opened a door that many believed would be closed forever. Waterfowls. Given Frontier tends to reuse new rigs at least once, then a second waterfowl before support ends could very well happen. With a bit of luck we might see multiple waterfowls in the future, but I only really dare to believe one more will show up. And it could be done in the very easy way with a second swan. Here I think the black swan from Australia seems the most likely, or they could put a bit more of work into it and go with a duck or goose. Here my guesses would be on either the Mandarin duck or the Hawaiian goose, also known as neem. But the choice of species might very well depend on the theme of the pack. Something else that very well could benefit from the swan is a pelican, something I've already dedicated a whole video to before, so I'll keep it short now. I think the choice of species here will also depend on the pack it comes in. A more open or global theme would probably mean the great white pelican, but should it be in a DLC going more into the Americas, then I imagine the brown pelican will be the chosen one. Another topic I have covered before is fowls. We got a fowl in the base game in form of the peafowl, but since then fowls were left behind. I still think wild turkeys are among the most likely fowls to show up. It is easily recognizable with a funny sound display and will finally add a bird to North America. But there are many other options when it comes to fowls. And while birds with unique wigs tend to be quite rare, one species is so popular within the community that Frontier must at least have considered it, the secretary bird. This relic from Zoo Tycoon 2 has over time become the king of the wishlist. So while it might be in the more complicated end of birds, it does still have a decent chance of making it in before support ends. And while the secretary bird in many ways feel very unique, it could open the door for another bird, in case support goes on for longer than expected, the Seriema. While this South American bird is not closely related to the secretary, they got enough in common for them to be able to be based on the same rig in Planet Zoo. And if a model can be at least partly reused, then it does appear more likely to show up. And while I think it is too late for numerous species of flying birds in Planet Zoo, Frontier might want to tick this off the list of most wanted features for the game by just adding a single species of flying bird to the walkthrough exhibit. Either budgies or lorikeets has to me always appeared as the most obvious choice for exhibit birds in Planet Zoo, so my guess would be on one of those. Recently the modding community showed off their hummingbirds, which looks very exciting. This does make me think an official species of hummingbird as our only flying bird could also be a possibility. Let us just quickly cover over some worthy mentions. I find a little less likely but not impossible to show up before support ends. The shoebill, just because it's very popular. The Victorian crowned pigeon, since it could reuse parts of the peafowl wig even though it's not a fowl. The southern ground hornbill, because it's unique but still not extremely complicated to design, I believe. a spoonbill or stork, perhaps as an alternative to a new flamingo or crane. The puffin, for sure more complicated, but since they are very popular and don't tend to fly much in captivity, I don't find them impossible for our habitats. If you ask me if I think we'll see more birds before support ends for Planet Zoo, I will say yes. I expect at least one more species, and I think that species will be among those I have covered in this video. I do of course hope we'll end up with even more birds than just one. Who knows, Frontier might end up doing something completely unpredictable. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out some of my other videos. Hope to see you soon.